How you doing?
Very good.
Happy Friday. This is
Happy Friday.
can you believe that we've been doing this since April every week pretty much?
Crazy. It's part of our
Yeah,
weekly tradition.
it is. So Doug Ford came out and said that the extension will be extended. What do you think will happen on Monday?
Well, the rumors we're hearing is that there's going to be a potentially a broader shutdown where you could see Ontario. I'm not sure when it's going to start, where you could see a portion of Ontario go into a 3 or 4 week shutdown. We'll see what happens, but that's the rumor that's circulating out of Queen's Park right now.
Okay. If you were in charge, what would you do?
Well, I try to focus on my responsibilities in Brampton rather than be a armchair quarterback from a different level of government. But I have advocated that it should be more surgical, focus on where the transmission's happening. We know it's largely in industrial settings. We know who our most vulnerable residents are. They tend to be in long-term care, and the responsibility we have to protect them. Those would really be the driving forces that I believe would be most appropriate in responding to this crisis.
Let's talk about vaccines. There should be vaccines coming to Brampton, I believe, next week. Is that correct?
We're being told to expect the vaccines next week.
Okay.
It can't happen soon enough. I've said in the media I'm a little bit frustrated the rollout started in Toronto and Ottawa, given the fact that Peel has a higher positivity rate than both those two jurisdictions.
Who's going to get the poke first? Do you know?
I believe that their focus is on long-term care staff and healthcare staff.
Okay.
It's under the provincial priority protocols. Those are the two groups of individuals who will get the first vaccines.
Okay. Do you know the individual that will get it first, or no?
Be determined by the hospital staff. I'm not sure who the first will be.
Okay. When do you see Brampton on a mass getting the vaccine? What part of 21?
Well, this is just speculation because they haven't told us. But if they are focusing on all the first responders, healthcare workers, long-term care workers, long-term care residents before they get to the general population, it's going to be a number of months, and then they will deal with those over 80, then over 70, then over 60, and so it will be depending on what age demographic you fall in. It will dictate when you get the vaccine. They've said that it's going to take a year to have the complete rollout. So if I was someone healthy in your 20s, you may not be until the fall. Where if you're a 70-year-old resident of Brampton, it may be in March.
Are you going to get the vaccine, Mayor Brown?
Yeah, when my time in the queue comes, and I'm 42, so I don't imagine it's going to be anytime soon. But when I am eligible, I will absolutely get it. I trust the scientific community and the physicians that this is important for public safety.
You're saying the rollout will be about a year. Do you suspect the mask bylaw will be in place for the duration of 21?
I think until the rollout is finished, I suspect we're going to continue to have a mask bylaw in public settings.
Okay. Do you agree with the Peel public health handling of the pandemic? I know that whenever we see Dr. Lowe on the pressers, there's a lot of confusion and vagueness when it comes to his answers. Are you okay with what they're doing, or?
So he works with the provincial health table, and he certainly can't overstep the guidance that he has from his fellow medical officers of health, and maybe that sometimes he uses cautious language.
Yeah.
But I think by and large, public health is doing a good job. They're putting residents' health and safety first, and I've got confidence in our public health institutions. That's not to say, we agree on everything. I've publicly said that there should be a more surgical approach. I publicly said that there should be a greater level of transparency. Right now, with Public Health Ontario, they only disclose outbreaks if it's a risk to the public, which means that the vast majority of outbreaks, there's never a release of where it happened. And my personal preference would be if there was a public list, completely transparent, anywhere an outbreak happens. And so, there are sometimes that there's a divergence of opinion, but I think by and large, our public health workers are doing the best they can given the conditions they're operating under.
This is a question I get the most when I ask for questions, and this is kind of a good question because they're asking this. What's the official rule for family gatherings over the holidays? The official rule.
So public health hasn't, in Peel region, hasn't articulated an official rule, but the provincial and federal governments have said to avoid large social gatherings. So there's not going to be permitted social gatherings. We're asking for households not to mix. I believe that the provincial minister of health has said that if you live alone, you can join another household, but there shouldn't be any household mixing where there shouldn't be any household mixing that can be avoided.
Okay. Is there any movement, or have you heard back from the province in regards to sick leave?
So I understand that they're being looked at, the isolation center and the sick leave, but there's no updates, no commitments yet.
Okay. I was looking on your stories, Instagram stories, and I saw that there's a Queen Street BRT. What is the latest on that, or can you shed some light on that?
So Metrolinx has agreed to do a study on that, which is good because that means they've taken the crusade on for the city of Brampton. It's something that's very important to move people on that east-west quadrant, and so it's great news. And I want to give a plug out to Councillor Harkirat Singh, who was really the person pushing that very aggressively on our city council.
Nice. Okay, and Regional Council just approved Brampton getting 2 more seats in the expense of Caledon. What does this mean for Brampton?
So Brampton has been massively underrepresented. Right now, on a regional council level, for every, in Caledon, it's 1 regional council for every 15,000 residents. In Brampton, it's 1 for every 97,000. Okay. And in Mississauga, it's 1 for every 65,000. So Brampton's voice has been trampled on. The province has said that we have by December 31st to highlight if there's going to be any redistribution. And this happens in most democracies where there's growth, you adapt. And if there happens to be growth in Mississauga or Caledon in the future, then they could adapt as well. So I'm glad that Brampton is getting 2 additional seats. This is a step in the right direction. If we were to have full representation, then we would require 4 additional seats. So this is sort of a compromise position because we didn't want Caledon losing 4 seats. And this was the motion that got support from the majority of the region appeal. All Mississauga councillors, all Brampton councillors, and 1 from Caledon.
Okay. And then let's just talk about New Year's Eve. I think you guys are having a virtual event.
Yeah, we're having a virtual New Year's Eve party. It's odd to have New Year's Eve that you can't celebrate in person, but that is the reality under COVID-19. So we're going to be putting on a party online, and I'll just say that we'll try to make up for it and have an even better celebration next year in person when we can again.
Cool. And last question, what are you doing for Christmas? The holidays?
Well, I'm looking forward to celebrating Christmas with Genevieve and Theodore. Last year, he's a year and a half. So last year, I don't think he was able to appreciate what was happening. He was too young. So this year might be the first Christmas that he actually realizes that it's Christmas, and it'll be a special time. I just wish, my family used to have large gatherings with family. I've got lots of cousins, lots of aunts and uncles, and so it's a little bit sad that we can't do that this year. I'm going to miss seeing my extended family, but I'm sure we'll have some Zoom gatherings or virtual gatherings where we can see everyone.
Mayor Brown, well, thank you so much for being on the show for the past year since April. We've surpassed 1 million views, if you can believe that, awesome. On Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So, but yeah, hopefully we'll do this in 21.
Okay.
With some better news.
Until next year.
Yes. Take care.